Hello, hello. Welcome to this week's episode of The Bold Leap. Today I'm super excited to hang out with my friend Josee Madison. And she is going to share a lot. Every time we chat, we have a very, very good and deep conversation. So I thought we should really bring this to the world and not keep these conversations to ourselves, because every time we chat, it's magic. So welcome, Josee, to the show.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I was so excited for this. I couldn't wait. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like it was just meant to be. I was thinking about it this morning because I knew you were coming on today, that we met during a live stream. I think you joined one of my audios. Was that?
I did. And I cannot remember who the guest was, but I remember we were just, putting topics, or not topics, but questions. And you're like, hold on, Josee, you need to come up here. And so we had kind of like a little triangle of exchange about different experiences in our life. So yeah, it was fun.
It was so fun. And I remember even I don't remember the exact conversation, but I do remember you really helping that guest by sharing your wisdom. And that was really cool. So I love it. Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and the work you do in the world?
Well, I'm Josee Madison, and I am a speaker and a coach, and I help high-achieving women release pressure from performing and teach them that rest is actually our superpower, not a threat. And I do this by using my Smarter Living framework, by blending soul and logic together, because I know for me, when I found my soul path, I'm a very logical person. And so I was like, I'm not about this whole woo-woo stuff and patchouli and kumbaya. And, I didn't want to wear the long, I just had this weird conception of what spirituality or soul was. And so I had to learn it in a logical way. Like, what does scientifically my body do when I do this and do that? And so I started learning more and researching more about the heart in that way, in a scientific way. Like with the HeartMath Institute, I started studying, NLP and quantum physics, and that started making more and more sense. And then next thing you know, I realized, oh my gosh, there is so much more than just performing, but actually living and enjoying my life, doing what I love. Because I know you're probably also a high achiever.
Yeah.
And I know for me, sometimes I would have a few hours to kill, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm not productive. I was like, the fear of missing out, like silence to me was a threat almost.
Yeah.
And over the years, I realized, like, oh my God, this is not a threat, because, and maybe you're going to agree to that, whenever I'm quiet, whether even it's in the shower, thinking, all of a sudden, my greatest ideas come in the shower. Why? Because I'm calm, I'm relaxed. And that's what kicked in. I'm like, oh my God, wait a minute. My genius moments always come when I'm quiet. So I'm going to have to, dive more into that. So I help high achieving women find their passion again by getting a little bit more calm and tap into that side. They're heart led, because we were taught that heart for us is not practical. It's just a dream. It's, but that's complete opposite. I'm living it now. It's a complete opposite. So I'm very passionate about that, as you can tell.
I cannot wait to talk about it. Okay, you said so many things I want to unpack. The first was so many things I couldn't write fast enough. So for sure I'm going to forget, and we'll probably have to talk again, but we're here now. So the first thing you said was, all that woo-woo stuff. I don't know the language you use, but you talked about soul-led. And I remember when I first started my journey, my entrepreneurial journey outside of corporate, and I signed up for this high-level business mastermind. And I was doing career coaching at the time. I've since moved on to business coach, evolved into business coaching, but I was doing career coaching at the time. And there was one career coach in my mastermind, and she was, I don't want to use the word killing it, but doing really, really, really well in business. Like, she built a 7-figure business pretty quickly. And so because she was doing the same thing that I aspired to do, she was kind of my mentor without knowing she was my mentor, And the one thing that her tagline was, like soul powered or soul. She used the word soul, and she used to use the hashtag was hashtag bring your soul to work. And I remember thinking, like, I loved everything she did, but I thought that was so weird. I was like, bring your soul to work. What does your soul have to do with work? And which is hilarious now, because now we're really good friends and I'm all about that. But similar to you, I remember thinking, like, my soul has nothing to do with this. Like, that woo woo stuff is
Yeah.
not for me. So what, I mean, I know what my story is, but how did you come to like merging the two? Like, was there a pivotal moment that made you think there's got to be something more, or something, maybe there's something to this?
Well, yes. I agree with you that I would meet people who would talk about heart led and soul led. And I was like, the job I do, because I worked in the music industry. Well, I had a few careers, but my latest one before I'm doing entrepreneur and speaking and coaching, I was in the music industry in touring with artists in Nashville, Tennessee. And it's all logic. It's all mind. You got to go, 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 go. There's no time for rest. There's no time for this, woo.
Yeah.
And I remember going to a yoga class with one of the artists that we were touring with. And it was just me, her, and then someone else, and then the teacher. And I'm looking at the teacher. I'm like, and she was like, okay, so let's go into our bodies. And I'm thinking, let's go into my body. I'm already in my body. Like, what are you talking about? It just didn't clue.
Yeah.
I just didn't clue in. And then I looked at her and I thought, wow, this woman is so zen. Like, that's the word I came up with, zen. Like, how did I know this word, zen? She looks so relaxed. I wonder how she went there, because technically my heart already knew what soul meant. My mind had just not caught up to it yet. So I would feel restless. I would feel edgy sometimes, or I would feel like, am I in the right job? Like, I should be liking this. The people tell me all the time, you're so lucky to have the job that you have with traveling with the artists. But my soul change came in a different way of feeling dissatisfied, disconnected, had a hard time sleeping, started questioning my decisions. And that, for me, after a while, I realized, okay, maybe that may not be the soul that the lady was talking about, but it is a transition I'm going through. I need to explore this. And what happened is I ignored it, of course, and then fell ill, and that's when the doctor said to me, you really need to, take a break, or else you're going to have a stroke. You're like overstressed, overtired, like you can't do what you're doing anymore. And not just that, but for me, a lot of the numbing that I was ignoring my heart, I did with alcohol. And I don't lie about it, because that's the truth. That's what I did. I ignored the signs by drinking a little too much. When I decided that I had to change my life at 41, I got sober. And that's when I started. I saw this show, and I cannot remember who it was, but they were talking about journaling. I'm like, journaling? That's like writing songs, or, let me try this. So I just started writing. But the weirdest transition is that what I was writing, all of a sudden I started crying. And I'm like, my mind's not, like, my heart's not the one crying. It's my mind, my ego, my fear, and all of this. And I started reading more about books, because I'm like, there's something that just clicked in me. My overtiredness, my restlessness, my questioning, that's not my job. That's me. There's something in me. And then I met a mentor who said to me, Josee, you're going through a heart transition. You're going through getting to know your soul a little bit more. And that's what it is. You don't have to question and, have all the answers. Just feel it. More time to yourself, and you'll start getting answers, and more and more and more. That's what it started. I'm like, oh my God. And I knew at that point that there was something bigger than me, than my logic, that was trying to guide me. And I know you're saying yes, because I believe that you have felt that at some point in your life, where you're like, okay, something's up.
Yeah.
And it's those moments for me that I find, that I explain to my clients or to whoever's listening. When you feel that moment of questioning, is that soul that's starting to talk to you and saying, hey, Lisa, you're not where you're supposed to be. Because our heart is usually more forward, more advanced than our mind is.
No,
And
absolutely.
exactly. And so when they don't connect, that's when we feel the disconnection, because we live from the neck up,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So that was a long answer, but basically this is how you will feel if you're wondering, what is soul?
Mm.
How do I know that my soul is now talking to me? Well, this is how you're going to start feeling.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you said use the word feeling. For the longest time, I felt so disconnected from myself, but
Mm.
I lived in complete oblivion to it. Like I was very unaware. I was blissfully unaware that I was disconnected from myself. And when I started my first business, my career coaching business, I followed this methodology and I very, I followed it the way I was supposed to, exactly as I was taught. And it was going really well until it wasn't. And the reason it wasn't going well, which I know now, is because I was fully out of alignment with the
Mhm.
sales process. It just didn't, I wasn't aligned. It was a lot of bro marketing and it wasn't me. Right. And so for the people that it worked because they felt aligned to it. Like for them, they believed it, but I didn't believe it.
Mhm.
I didn't believe it, didn't feel authentic to me. And so the more I was pushing, willing myself to make it work, because when I worked in corporate, the hustle culture really did work in my favor. It did work,
Yeah.
right? I did hustle my way to success, but I couldn't do it. It was only when I kind of took a step back and realized and started doing the internal work. People said to me, you have to do the internal work. I was like, what the heck is that internal work? And it's funny that you talked, well, not funny, but like really interesting that you talked about journaling and started crying. I remember years and years ago when I first started practicing yoga, like I don't even know, over 20 years ago. And being in Shavasana, this was so long ago. This was back when Ashtanga yoga was a thing. I
Oh
remember
wow.
doing it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like Madonna did it, and
Yep.
I related to that kind of yoga because
Mhm.
it was hard, and it
Yes.
was sweat, and it was the whole thing. It was very physical, and I remember being in Shavasana and just bawling my eyes out for no reason, and then I was mad at myself because I was crying. But it was the first time I think my body was still, like
We're
truly still.
we're so conditioned, and it's interesting that you said, well, I ignored the signs, or you were blissfully unaware. I don't think nobody's unaware. Let me tell you, I'm looking straight at you.
Mm,
Um, that we are so we're so conditioned
yeah.
to follow what people say, because we're in an environment where everybody does the same thing. If you want to succeed, you got to do this. If you want to succeed, you got to do that. And then all of a sudden, something tells you it's not aligned anymore. But we were not taught to follow our heart. So, of course, it's a place that is completely foreign to you,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I've never needed this heart to go this way. So I have to continue doing what I think works, what I know works, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah.
And so that's where courage comes in. And you go, okay, something is not lining up. But how do you know when you need to step up and change?
Mm,
So my question to you, because you said you've did it and you're like, nah, I'm going to ignore this and I'm just going to continue moving on. But you kept on feeling the misalignment.
yeah.
At what point did you say, you know what, I can't do this anymore? Like, what was going through your mind?
Well, I think I went back to the logic that is, if you continue doing the same thing and expect a different result, then who's the crazy one,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
I
exactly.
just knew that I needed to do something different. And frankly, I was doing all of the right things, like the strategy I had down, and the strategy worked, but didn't feel right to me.
Mhm.
So I just made a pivot and told myself, well, I need to do something different. I didn't know what different was.
Exactly.
I didn't
Yeah.
know what different was, but I was then introduced to another coach, and she was super, super helpful to me because she did a lot of internal work. Like she helped me do some internal work, and I didn't even know I needed internal work, but I knew that I needed something completely different. And
Yeah.
I was just really interested to do the internal work. I don't know that I signed up for it knowingly necessarily. It's just when I got into her program, it was a lot of, working on yourself and doing things. It felt pretty aligned because we did a lot of journaling exercises and that sort of thing. And similar to you, I love writing. I mean, I've even published a journal now because I love to write, and it's super helpful to just get those, like Gary Vee always says, you have to get the poison out, right?
Yes,
So you
yes.
have to.
So to answer your question, where you're saying, how did I get the science and the soul? For me, that's where I come in, where a client will say to me, I know that I have to change. I want to change my ways, but I've done this for 20 years, 25 years. How the heck am I supposed to, what am I supposed to do now? Yeah. How am I supposed to follow my heart? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. So of course we're going to go back to what's comfortable, but we know, even though it's uncomfortable, we stick to the comfortable. So my job here is to teach you how to tap into your heart and your mind in a scientific way. So I'll explain to you, listen, the reason that you're going through this is because your state of mind, your nervous system is on fight or flight. It's on go mode. So when you're on go mode, you don't want to take a nap. You don't want to go in your heart when you're in go mode. You want to go.
Yeah.
So I teach you different methods on how to retrain your brain, rewire your brain. But first, by understanding what's happening in your mind and in your body. Because once you understand that logically, for example, the amygdala is the part of the brain that, exudes fear. Well, if this is overactivated, all you want to do is run for your life. You're stressed out. So once you understand how to calm certain parts of your brain by different affirmations or meditations or discussions about certain beliefs, then you can go, oh, okay. So not only do you understand the affirmation, but you understand scientifically what the affirmation does to your body. And I think for me, it stuck more to me in that way because I'm such a logical person. To understand, okay, well, if I'm doing affirmation, I am feeling good. I am feeling good. No, I'm not.
I'm not feeling good. Yeah.
Hell, what the hell's this,
Yeah.
But when I started doing that, and that's exactly what I was saying, really, I'm not. Why am I not when I'm trying to say this? But my body's saying, you're lying. Yeah. So what was going on is, even though I had amazing affirmations, I was saying to myself, my nervous system had not kicked in low gear yet. So it didn't believe that it was doing well.
Right.
I would say I am doing well, and my subconscious was like, bullshit, no,
you're
not.
Yeah.
And so once I started understanding, okay, so if I am feeling good, if my subconscious is not quite ready to feel that yet, what else can I say that would ease it into a better state? And I I prefer to feel calm. I prefer to feel calm. So my subconscious was like, oh, okay, well, I can do that.
I can believe that. Yeah.
Because I am is a state. It's not an action.
Right.
So when you are preferring to stay calm, it somewhat is giving an action to your subconscious.
I love it. I also love the word possibility. For me, when I say, what else could be possible, or what else could be true, right? When we believe a truth that isn't serving us, right? Because of the stories we tell ourselves.
Yeah. Exactly. And most of the high achievers that I work with, at some point in our lives, it doesn't necessarily have to be a trauma, but we made a decision of our worth somewhere. I have to do this if I want to be seen. I have to do that if I want to, I had a client who was saying that she heard her say to her dad, you don't work hard enough. You're lazy. You're this, you're that. So in her mind, she had to perform highly so that she would be noticed by her mother. And that was not the truth. That was her truth, but it's a belief that she had thought as a young girl. Okay, if I want love from mom or anybody else, I have to work 10 times harder so that they can really see I am not lazy.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so these are all things to unpack that I'm sure you've unpacked as well. Like when you're saying with your coach,
Yeah.
there is so much more like for high achievers to make that leap, for them to understand, okay, this is why I'm acting this way, but I do want to make that leap. And once you understand all of this, that leap is just a skip.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so true. It's so true. And oh my gosh, I thought of so many things as you were talking. Like I have another friend who's like doing extremely well in business, and she's changed her whole work ethic
Mhm.
from hustle, like from go, go, go. Her motto is the more rest I get, the more money I make. And I
Absolutely.
am I'm telling you, Jose, that that is her truth. Like
Yeah.
if she's feeling overworked, she will just go to the spa.
Yep.
She'll go to the spa, she'll take some calls in the lounge, and she will close like these big deals.
Yep.
It's magical to watch.
Well,
It's
and
so
that's just
amazing.
that, but it gets you into the state of mind. So what she is doing,
It's so good.
it's so good. But what, in a scientific way for high achievers and logic women
Yeah.
here, what is actually happening is she has activated the reticular activating system, which is whatever is really important to you,
Mhm.
your brain is going to attract those things, is going to pay attention to those things.
Yeah.
So now that for her and for me, because I totally get her, I completely changed my life into rest mode. Like it's crazy how my calendar is empty, but there's a lot of time for me,
Mm.
you know.
Mhm.
And it's pretty crazy. But what's happening with her, what we call the RAS, is she said, this is the ultimate most important thing in my life, is that I am going to rest before hustling, and I'm going to attract even more money. So
Mm.
her brain is like, do. Okay, rest. You need some rest. So her brain is activated in a way because that is what's most important to her.
Mm.
And so once you understand these things, then you're like, okay, what's really most important to me right now is I want to make at least $10,000 a month. And I need to find what resonates with me. I need to find what is going to be conducive to my work days, to my, and then you just chill
Mm.
and you let, well, the brain, your reticular activating system, and also what we call quantum fields,
Mm.
the
Yeah.
energetics around you, you know? And so I am having so much fun and explaining that to my clients because they're like, holy cannoli. Like, I didn't know it was like, so the woo woo is not woo woo. It's like, whoa, whoa. You know,
Mm.
it's
Mhm.
incredible. Once you know how to tap into that kind of manifestation or understanding of how your brain works, how your energy works, how your decision works. If she believed that hustling to make money was, then that's what she attracted. When she made the other decision, I'm done,
Yeah.
and the brain and energy was like, okay, we're done too. What do you want?
Yeah. I mean, I've really changed my whole energy around making money, especially to the more fun I have, the more money I make. And it's been a game changer for me, a complete game changer. And it is fun. It is fun
It
because
is.
it doesn't have to, we were taught that we have to hustle to make
Yeah.
money.
And
And
that's why I'm doing this, my Costa Rica retreat in 2026 for high achievers, for women who can come and learn to receive
yeah.
in a setup, because when we're relaxed, that's where we learn the most.
Mm.
That's where we're creative the most. I'm like, what can I do to create an environment that's, the one of the most beautiful places you can ever possibly go, where I've been before. And I'm like, I'm doing this. I'm doing a Costa Rica retreat for these women to come and open their heart and learn to be creative and relax, and probably leave more refreshed and have more creative ideas than they ever had. I mean, I don't know. To me, it always worked, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's so, so, so true. I also love how you said, I made a note because I didn't want to forget. And you talked about having all your ideas in the shower because this show was conceived in the shower. I was in the shower. I told you about this. I was in the shower and I thought to myself, I want to do, I've always wanted to do a podcast. It's been on my to-do list for years now. And I never get to it because it just feels so overwhelming. There's so much, so much goes into it. And I literally was in the shower and thought, how can I make this easy? Right? I just asked different questions now. How can I make this easy? And then as I'm putting the conditioner in my hair, I thought, I know I could do a weekly LinkedIn Live. And then if I want to turn that into a podcast later, I can. But for
Yep.
now, I can do a weekly LinkedIn Live. And so that's what I did. And I got out of that shower and I had a WhatsApp group with a bunch of coaches going. And I said, hey, here's my idea. Who wants to be interviewed? And now that was 8 weeks ago. You're my 8th guest. And for 8
Oh my
weeks in a
goodness,
row,
yeah.
I have been interviewing people on this show called The Bold Leap.
So my husband bought me a waterproof pen and paper pad. So he's military. And when I told him that, I'm like, sometimes my best ideas come in the shower. And he bought me that. He goes, we use this when we're, at war or in the trenches. And if it's raining and we need to take coordinates for certain things, we have to have something that's waterproof. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So I can write my ideas in the shower. I don't have to run out of the shower and use a pen and paper, but it's funny.
That's amazing. You told me that when I told you that I have my ideas in the shower. I'm going to have to get myself a pen and paper because I think, oh my gosh, I have to get out and say a little. I just talk into my voice note feature on my phone. Otherwise, well, I mean, I didn't forget this one. I just, came out and implemented it.
That is for high achievers. You can get that moment intentionally, not just in the shower or before you go to bed where your mind is quiet and all of a sudden you've got all these thoughts coming up. Meditation or taking some periods of rest. Like right now I'm in the middle of writing my book and I wake up at 4:00 in the morning because it's really quiet. And I just sit there in my room and I'm like, okay, ideas, make them fun. And I know that things are coming up. And it just flows because I'm in a state of calm and receiving. I'm allowing myself to receive my inspiration, receive ideas. And at first it was very challenging to do because, as a high achiever, you're used to go, go, go. But the more I know, take time, and my sleep is better too. My sleep is better too because I've released things in my mind naturally, intentionally, and I didn't block them out because no, I don't have time for this or I don't have time for that.
How do you, I'm going to ask you this. How do you get into receiving mode?
How do you get into receiving mode? Very easily.
I'm listening.
That's it. That's it.
But how do you turn your brain? Now I feel like I'm being coached. It's just be a masterclass and how you get someone to coach you for free.
So exactly. So for me, when I started receiving, I was thinking, okay, when I have my best ideas, what am I actually doing? Well, I'm doing things that I enjoy. Either taking a walk or in the shower, I'm relaxing and I'm like, oh, this is fun, whatever it is. My mind's being busy doing something else that's not creative. Or I go to sleep. I love sleeping or I love reading. And I thought, okay, so why don't I just sit here, not do anything, but get into the feeling of enjoying, the feeling of the joy that I love doing these things. I enjoy walking. Don't walk. Don't think of walk, but think of the feeling of walking. And so, that could even be eating chocolate or going on a date with your boyfriend or husband going, okay, I'm really enjoying this. And so what happens is right away, your exhales get a little bit longer. So here I am again with the scientific thing is I'm a certified yoga instructor and also Reiki master. So I studied also the anatomy of nerves and breath and all the stuff and all, the components of relaxation. And so let me ask you this.
Okay.
On a Friday night, you're done work. You love you love what you do, but Friday night, most of you guys love what you do. If not, Friday night you get home, you get on the couch, glass of wine or whatever it is, turn on Netflix. What's the breath you do? What's the first breath you do?
You exhale. Yeah.
I'm home.
Mm.
I'm chilled. I'm relaxed. So when you do that, we have in our body called the vagus nerve. That's the longest nerve in our bodies. And that nerve is connected to our rest and digest nervous system.
Mm.
So when you exhale, you activate that nerve. This is why when we're on vacation or on Friday night or we're enjoying our times with our friends, we're like, whoo, the exhale happens automatically. This is why we're having so much fun. So if you are, again, aware of, I want to receive, therefore, I need to activate this nerve. Therefore, I can use a longer exhale, pretend I'm in a joyful situation, and just be. Just be.
Mm. Some high achievers would say it's difficult to just be.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm channeling my clients. I'm going to ask you all the questions for my clients.
Mm-hmm.
How do you just be? I know. I mean, I feel like personally, I spent a lot of time, it sounds ridiculous to say, but really teaching myself or training myself to be and not do.
So
Because
when I was explaining it, did that trigger a little nervousness? Like, oh, shoot, like, how am I supposed to do that? Or how did you receive this? May I ask?
well, for me, I feel like I do know how to do that. And
Okay,
I understand that the feeling is the secret, like once I started focusing on the feeling, what I want to feel, then things do change because I can get myself into a state of feeling joyful, feeling content, feeling bliss. I mean, I know how to get myself into a state of
Good.
feeling, and that is from being quiet, right? When people say, I don't have time to meditate,
Yes.
That's why you need
I've
more.
been there. I've done it.
No, I mean, sometimes I find myself so, like I get into this state of I need to do more, I need to be more productive, I need to all the things, right? And when I catch myself using language like that, I know that I have to meditate. I mean, I know that I
Doesn't
have
that
to.
feel
It's
good
the
though
thing.
when you know?
Yes, and yes, it feels good. And it's also annoying because I just want to do something. I don't want to just be.
Well, exactly. So what happens at that point is we have to change what's important. So for me, what is now important is my rest. A main thing too is I'm going through menopause.
Mm-hmm, same.
And so um, for me, I'm realizing that rest is more important than going 100 miles an hour. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've changed completely my workouts. I don't run on the treadmill anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
walk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do the big hit workouts. I
Mm-hmm.
lift weights in a way that feels good to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because I remember when I first started, I gained like 30 pounds and I said to my doctor, oh my God, I got to do something. Oh my God, I can't, this is can't, and I was like, no. You know better. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
know what you need to do. What's
Yeah.
this whole panic stuff, But of
Mm-hmm.
course, we're human beings. Everything that's new in our lives, we're kind of like questioning. That's it, Everything changes. We're just like, uncomfortable with the change.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so grateful that I had the tools to go, okay, no, you don't need to run an extra 4 miles to lose those pounds. You need
Right.
to do the opposite, because I was increasing cortisol in my body, and that's not what I need,
Mm-hmm.
And so to be able to understand the process of how to manage the stress in a soulful way, meditation, and understanding the scientific reaction to your soulful actions, for me, makes it even more successful and less of feeling guilty because I have to relax. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
no, relaxing is as important. It's part of my routine. It's on my calendar.
Relaxing's on your calendar? What do you put?
Just
How much
an
time to relax?
I just have I have like open calendar, like an open, there's nothing written on it. This is time for 0.
So what do you do?
What do I do? So before I jumped on to talk with you, I have a beautiful, beautiful antique chair that I sit in, and I was just looking at my cat sleeping.
Okay.
And I was like, I am so grateful for this little kitty who's bringing me so much joy. And it's raining today. I'm so glad because my new tree is going to have all the nourishment it needs. Gosh, I look forward to speaking with Lisa. This is going to be so much fun.
I love it. Yeah.
And so sometimes I just sit there. I just look around. And my husband will be like, babe, are you okay? Yeah. He goes, it's so quiet in your office. I'm like, yeah, I'm just being, but it took me a while to get where I'm at.
I get it. No, I get it. I get it. I often do that. Yeah, I often do that in the morning. So my journaling routine, like I created a whole journal, and every single morning I get up and I do the same thing. I put my coffee on. I pray that my dog doesn't want to go for a walk first thing, but sometimes she does. So if that's happening, I take her to do her business. Then I sit with my coffee and my journal, and I write down the date, 3 things I'm grateful for, 3 things I'm proud of myself for, and 3 things that would make today great. And sometimes I am like, this morning for sure, I was grateful because I bought these beautiful flowers at the farmer's market on the weekend, and my dog was snoring beside me, and I just love this little creature so much. And I mean, my dog's in my journal so many days because she does invoke that feeling, the house is quiet, I'm here by myself. And I'm grateful that I get to look at these beautiful tulips and smell this beautiful, candle, and have a dog that wants to hang out with me, and just sitting in that space, in that feeling is a game changer. It is.
And it's also something that we need to tell ourselves that it's also productive to relax.
Well, yes, because that's
very productive, I mean, we're experts at, putting fires out and all this stuff because we're such quick thinkers. And yes, our fight or flight is good, but our rest and digest is equally as good, and when you start following your heart in that way, and you've experienced this when you made the leap to go from one, to be an executive to now being a business coach and all the stuff. So you did that leap. I remember when I did that leap was like, I wasn't completely settled in my heart. I was still questioning a lot of things,
Yeah.
But I knew that if I took the leap, that I would be okay. Yeah. And I remember I was 32 years old. I was in Canada back then because I'm Canadian. But now I live in the States, but I was working for the Federal Court of Canada, and I was a judicial assistant for the Federal Court of Appeal. And I was 32, and I remember sitting in this gigantic office. It was in the Supreme Court, marble floors. And I'm like, there's 10 jobs in this whole country, and I have one of them. I made a lot of money. I had all the benefits in the world. I had 4 weeks vacation paid, like everything. And I remember sitting there going, I can't do this. I'm not a 9-to-5 person. Like I can't do this, but I don't know what to do. I know I need to do something. And at that point I was in college studying business management, but I wasn't too sure what to do with that.
Yeah.
But I knew I wanted to manage something.
Yeah.
And so I remember the judge I was working with in the summertime, he said to me, Josee, I'm retiring in September. and you'll have to, find another judge to work with. And I looked at him and I said, oh no, that won't be necessary. I'm retiring too. And he looked at me and he said, you are? And I said, and in my mind, I thought, shit, what did I just say? Like, God, where did this come from? And he said, where are you going? I said, I don't know, but I'll figure it out, sir. And that was the last time I had a boss. And that was in 2005.
Wow.
20 years ago. And let me tell you, it wasn't an easy road, but it got me to where I am today, fully aligned, because I dared to take the leap.
Yeah.
And to be scared. I mean, Lisa, we don't make a beautiful omelet without breaking any eggs, right?
So true. So true.
Something is going to be uncomfortable along the way.
Yeah.
So when you start feeling uncomfortable,
yeah,
that's when you know that you're leveling up.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. So true. And for me, I've really learned, and I still hate it, by the way, but I've really learned to lean into the discomfort. I hate it every single time, right? It's kind of like, if you want something really badly and you see the opportunity right in front of you, but you're just not hitting the mark. For me, anyway, it's always because I'm unwilling to do the thing I know I have to do, which is, it could look like a conversation I need to have, doing something different when I continue to tell myself, if I just do a little bit more, it's going to work out, instead of switching gears, right? Instead of doing something different, instead of making a different decision in that moment. But now that I know that, whenever that feeling comes up, I hate it every single time. But I also know that if I do the thing that I keep, like my brain tells me to just ignore, avoid, that's the thing. It's always the thing that moves the needle, even though it doesn't seem related.
Exactly. And I think for me, this is why it's important to have a coach or a mentor, because I'll call her and say, okay, I know I'm leveling up because I'm very uncomfortable in the position that I'm in. I'm grumpy, I'm grouchy, I'm scared. I don't know if I can do this. I'm doubting myself. And so it's important to have someone in your corner that will guide you and help you unpack what's going on.
Yeah.
And I've never been without a coach for a long time, because I know that it can be very easy for me to say, oh, what am I thinking? This is stupid. I shouldn't be doing, like, I'm just going to stick to what I know. Like, why do I want to go a big hoopla and, save the world? But it's a calling that I have, and I can't ignore it. And every growth is scary. I mean, I don't have children, but I talked to my sister and she said, I was in such pain when Sebastian was born. And I'm like, yeah, but then in the end, look at the beautiful thing that you had. There is some kind of pain at some point, but again, if we understand that, it's easier for us to maneuver through that pain and learn from it. Like you said, beautifully said. I love it when you say that. I leaned in, and that's exactly what we need to do, is to lean in and go, okay, my understanding is I am going through this. If I don't know exactly what to do, get in touch with people that can help you through that,
Yeah, for sure. Or just do the next best thing. That's
but sometimes our pride will say, oh, no, you can do it on your own. No, you don't need to do this, or, but that's, to me, that's just fear.
Yeah, no, for sure. And also I think we weren't meant to go through life alone. We're not meant to struggle in the way that we don't allow ourselves to be supported,
Well, in my post this morning, I was talking about every strong woman wants to feel like a princess.
Yeah.
And I said it but for me, for years, I was like, I don't need a guy. I'm independent. I'm strong. I'm self-sufficient. I don't need this kind of distraction in my life.
Independent. Yes, we bonded over that too. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I think it is not a coincidence, at least my own personal experience, you know, I talk all the time about meeting the love of my life when I was 51. And I think you were 45 when you got
Yeah.
married.
Mhm.
Okay. So talk a little bit about that. Where were you in your life? And do you think that the journey you were on led you to him, or?
Yes. So my healing journey, first of all, I started questioning, why don't I want someone in my life? Like,
Mm,
what are my beliefs? What did
mhm,
I see when I was young or a teenager or wherever? Where did this belief that I didn't need anybody come from?
mm,
For me, my experience is I haven't had a real role models for a beautiful love life.
mm,
So in when I was growing up, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not going to hurt like that. So my belief was some relationships can really hurt.
mm,
And I don't need someone to hurt me like that. I can make my own money. I can make my own this. I can make my own that. But what I realize is after my healing journey of really listening to my heart to understand, to embrace the softness in me, because I thought my softness was a weakness, that
mm,
people were going to take advantage of it,
mm,
but I was taking advantage of my own self by not allowing that,
mm,
and so I remember I'm like, I just realized I think I want to be a wife by admitting I want to be a wife, because I was supposed to get married when I was 25, but I left 4 months before the wedding
mm,
because I'm like, this is not me. I don't want to do this. I'm not in love with you. I don't even know what love is, and blah 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 blah. And I heard a lot of people in that you know time frame, but at the same time, I knew at that point, I guess this was one of the times that I truly listened to my heart, where I knew I can't do this.
mhm, mhm,
But when I met Trevor, I was at a point where I wanted to feel the love. And again, there we go with the feeling. I started thinking, how do I want to feel with this guy? This
mm,
guy is going to make me feel important, and he's not going to shy away from my strength. He's going to complement my strength.
mhm,
He's going to encourage my independence. He's going to, and I remember going to the movies and buying 2 tickets at the theater, thinking I was with him. I would go to the restaurant, order a table for two, but I'd be just alone. And when I would leave, the lady at the front desk would say, "Oh, I'm sorry, he didn't show." I'm like, "Oh no, it's all good. He had another emergency, but I just had a beautiful dinner." And I went to Walmart, bought a diamond ring, and I was driving around. I would put the diamond ring and go, "Oh my God, it feels amazing. I'm married. Oh my God." And I just embodied that whole feeling that
mhm,
I was strong, but yet I knew that if I fell back, I had someone holding me. And that was that joyful feeling.
mm,
And within maybe about 3 or 4 months, I went to a fundraiser for friends that their son was not well, and so we were raising money to pay for the medical bills. And for me, I remember that with my partner, I'm going to laugh a lot. Laughter is
mhm,
going to be really important for me. And I was with some friends sitting at the bar at a table, and all of a sudden the music was playing. It was loud, and I heard this guy laugh. I swear to God, Lisa, it's like the only thing I heard was his laugh.
mm,
And I thought, oh my God, where did this laugh come from? I missed it. So then I thought, God, please, if this is meant for me, make him laugh again. And I'm going to really find where he's coming from. A second later, he laughs again. And then sure enough, I go straight to him. And the funniest thing is for me, I always had really tall boyfriends.
mhm.
And out of habit, I run to the bar and I look up, and then I'm like, oh, I'm like, I guess I didn't put that on my list, but he's 5'7". He's still taller than me, but still, I kind of chuckled in my own heart when I went, oh, and then I just heard the feeling like, this is it.
Mm,
There was no question. And, he was 42. He had never been married, no kids. I had never been married, no kids. He just wanted to wait for the right person. I had to go through some healing. And here we
mhm,
met. We courted for a couple of months. Then we started dating and realized this is it. And we've been married. We celebrated last month, in February, 12 years married.
wow, that's
Mhm.
beautiful. That's
And we had
beautiful.
never lived together. That's crazy. We had never lived together before we got married.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
'Cause
But
when
I
I,
mean, I truly, truly believe, I believe in all of that because I went on a similar journey feeling like Miss Independent, I make my own money. I don't need anyone for this. And, I'd been, when I was in my 20s, I dated someone for 7 years and I had been engaged. We didn't get to the altar, but I mean, he, that relationship left me very, very hurt, when it was done. And I think I just made a decision that I wasn't even necessarily conscious of it. I just made a decision that I wasn't doing that again,
yeah,
that I
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
going, and I just put the heart armor on, the layers and layers of heart armor. And when I started my business and started this personal development journey, I think just slowly the heart armor came off. And similar to you, like my friends actually challenged me to create an online dating profile. And I remember thinking, I don't want to do this. Like, first of all, it was during COVID. Can
yeah.
you imagine, like,
Oh
I met my
gosh.
partner during COVID. I said, I can talk to anybody. Like, I can talk to anybody. I don't want to meet somebody where we're grabbing a coffee and walking down Queen Street. Like, that's not my idea of a date. I want to go on a date. You can't go on a date during COVID, so I'm not doing it. Anyway, of course, being the high achiever that I am, I was like, okay, I accept the challenge. I accept the challenge. And I'm not even joking, Jose. The first
That's
person
funny.
that I was matched with was, okay, first of all, he's somebody that I knew from 20 years ago. So when
Uh-huh.
he invited me to like come to his house for some wine, I said yes because it wasn't weird. Because even though I didn't know him, because it's 20 years later, I knew him. Like he's somebody that I had met previously. So I didn't think any of it was weird. And all I wanted was for somebody to take me on a date. And I was
Yeah.
like, there's no opportunity for people to do that during COVID. But he had an opportunity to do that because I came to his house. So he made dinner and it was this whole beautiful thing. And yeah, I just really leaned into, I totally manifested him 100% because like you, I decided what I wanted. I decided what I wanted so that when he showed up, I would know what he looks like, not physically.
Exactly. And that's what I
Yeah.
mean by manifestation is soulful, but it's also scientific
Mm-hmm.
because you had changed the neuroplasticity of your brain. I mean, I know I'm saying this big words, but in layman's terms, is you had told your brain and your subconscious, this is what's now important to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then your brain's like on it, and then your radar was like, dee, 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 without even realizing that that's what we're doing.
Uh-huh.
Once we're aware of that, we can change so much in our lives.
It's amazing. It's amazing, but it takes so long to get there. I mean, I know it doesn't have to.
Mhm.
We can tell ourselves a different story. I'm
Mhm.
not there yet.
Mhm. Mhm. So what I say when I feel like something's not coming as fast, and I realize, okay, it's not coming as fast because I'm not quite ready to accept it.
Mm,
Because in my mind, I
yeah.
want to rush it.
Yeah.
So I'm on my way to blah blah blah. And another
Mm,
thing too that we need to be really mindful of is, let's say we left our job and we have a brand new career that we started, and it's in order for us to have that transition, like you say, it's not as easy as it sounds, but it can be by what the type of language we use. For example, I'm moving towards this career instead of I'm moving away from a job that stresses me out.
right. Yes.
When you're moving from the job that stresses you out, you're still bringing the stress in your new job.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
if you're saying to your mind, hey, I'm moving toward that thing, it's so much more powerful than moving away from something.
Mm, I love that. I love that. Well, first of all, I love the idea of walking towards something, but I love that because some people are motivated by running away from something, but I love the language you used to train your brain to move towards the thing that you
Mhm.
desire because you can still be, even though if you're running away from something, you're not necessarily leaving everything that comes with it behind.
And you're not necessarily knowing where you're moving towards. You're just
Right.
running away.
Sure. Yeah.
But if you're moving toward a final destination, it gives you way more clarity as to where you're going
Yes.
and
Yes.
less more fear. For me, that has worked tremendously when I'm moving towards something. I'm like, okay, I'm moving toward more speaking engagements. I'm moving toward. And so when I train my brain to do that, guess what it's doing?
Yeah,
It's
it's
looking for
looking for those
opportunities.
opportunities. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, Josee, can you believe we've been talking for almost an hour? I want to be mindful of time. Where can everybody find you if this is the first time they're seeing you and hearing all your genius? What's your preferred method of?
Well, I spend most of my time on LinkedIn. I
Okay.
do have an account on Facebook and Instagram, but most of my time is spent on LinkedIn. And would love to see anyone to, talk to or visit me or questions. And they can also find me in Costa Rica in 2026 in January.
I
I
love it.
rented the whole retreat for myself. I've been there in 2023 with my studio, but I'm doing one in 2026, not 2023. In January, I called the owner. I'm like, I'm coming back. I want the whole place to myself. So 25 lucky people will come and celebrate our wonderful achievements and learn to receive in light and good food. And they'll have plenty of time to explore Costa Rica. There'll be some workshops. We'll learn how to meditate, how to journal, and really have conversations that are soulful and scientific.
I love it. Soulful and scientific, S squared. It's perfect. It's perfect. Okay, my last question for you is: is there any question that you wish I would have asked you that you didn't have an opportunity to talk about?
No, actually, I would love for you to ask me, when can I get you back so we can talk some more?
Well, we will do that. We will do that for sure. We'll do that absolutely for sure. I don't need to.
No, I guess it might not be a question, but just a statement to your listeners, that you're not weak, you're not lost. If you're feeling dissatisfied or disconnected or tired, you're probably just leveling up, and you may need a little bit of a boost with a coach like Lisa or myself or anybody that would resonate with you to help you level up and really achieve what your heart is calling you to do.
I love that. It's beautiful. Yeah, coaching's changed my life. I mean,
yeah,
it is not just because I get to do this as a job and I feel like I have the best job in the world, but coaching others, being coached, it's changed my life, all of it, in the best possible way. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Doll. Look at all these people here. Nastiso, Andrea, we have Grace, all of you chatting in the box here. Thanks for hanging out with us this past hour. And thank you, Josee, for sharing your love and your light and your wisdom and your genius and your heart with us. I really
thank you so much for having me. You're just a delight to talk to. So your clients are lucky to have you because you're just a beautiful ray of sunshine.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel the same way about you. I love our conversations. All right, everyone, have a fabulous day and a great week. And we'll see you again next week. Same time, same place. The Bold Leap. Have a good one. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye.